if we quit at that first version of what we actually attempted, we will never see the next better version of myself or of my efforts or my talents.
Please subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay tuned to the latest updates at the Powder Room Talk.
You know, we really need to learn to overcome that kind of fear. And I like how John Maxwell said it, that do not let failure bully your lives.
Yes.
You know, because it's such a bully that it will bully you for the rest of your life, of thinking that you are not good enough, of thinking that you do not want to try because you're so afraid to fail. And when it's good, you just don't believe it. So stop it. I really don't like it when I see how it steals people's and my friends' potential in life just because we're just so afraid of fail.
Yeah.
Right?
For me, the failure itself is actually not, let's say, I'm trying this project and it doesn't go as expected, the market doesn't take it. That wouldn't be the failure for me. For me, that would be, that's just the way it is, right? Like, I tried, it didn't work, it's fine. For me, the failure is more like, what if I hurt someone on the way? What if I don't reach the expectation? You know, and it has nothing to do with the thing itself, with the project or the work or whatever. It has more to do with personal relationships, right? And that's my biggest fear of failure, like failing this relationship.
Wow, yeah. Actually, then I think it would be good for us to talk about what then is a great way or a great mindset to look at failure, to embrace failure so that we can actually fail forward, right? Fail forward and not go backwards. Because when we don't embrace failures, we go backwards, we're like, oh, you know what, this is uncomfortable. Let me go back to what was. And yeah, I was just curious, what do you think?
I have a motto in my life that if you never fail, you'll never know. You know, like I mentioned, right? My biggest failure in my life is my relationship because I failed a lot of people on that time.
Yeah.
But once I learned the reasons, I learned why I made that mistake or why I failed, at least I'm not going to repeat it again. Am I afraid of a new relationship? Yes, previously. But I would not let that to hold me back to have a greater relationship in the future. You know, I still believe in marriage. I still believe having a good partner. I still believe having a good husband. It doesn't make me feel like all men are bad or all women are bad, you know, in a way that I learn from that mistake and I move forward. I put that into the next relationship. So yeah, it's just that if you never try, if you never fail, you'll just never know. You need to go through that process. You can't always avoid failure in your life.
Reminds me of one of my favorite quotes that I say it very often. It's that, you know, I could have, would have, should have, too late I didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we think that we shouldn't try it out because it's going to fail me. I always tell my team member or even my friends, they say, yeah, but I'm going to fail. I say, and so what? If you fail, and so what? Is your life going to end? You know, is it going to be so difficult for you? Yes, sometimes it's difficult, but I said, but at least you tried. And you never know. Maybe you're going to be success. It will be a huge success next time. A lot of great invention is coming from thousands of failures in their, you know, in their research, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if they just stop after 1 or 2 times and we'll never have electricity, we'll never have air conditioner, and we'll never have everything in our lives. So I really, really think if you've never failed, you just never know.
I also think it's really important to be, again, more strategic about the kind of failures that we have.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's because of lots of variables. Probably because of us, ourselves, probably because of the situations, probably it's not the good timing. But what I learned is, from my previous failures, that it is essential for me to do a really deep inner work. And if there is any, I have to take accountability of my own mistakes.
Yeah.
And that is really important for me to able to grow. if I don't do that, then the cycle will keeps happening. That's why I need to take accountability of what I did wrong in order for me not to repeat the same mistakes in the future. But I also have boundaries because I have to see what is the situations giving me with the failures, or is it the other person, or is it somebody else's, and not projecting all of the mistakes onto me, but I have to see it as it is.
Yeah.
And
Being
learn from
strategic
it.
in your failure.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
You know, for me, I think for me it's really hard to overcome failure, and it is extremely time consuming. And so for me, I think in the past, when I was emotionally not very mature, I think it would have just kept me where I was. But the more I became self-aware and actually worked on my emotional intelligence, on understanding my personality, and I studied more and more about it, I actually became much more equipped to actually experience a situation, experience as it is, and then pick it apart afterwards and look at all different sides and analyze it. Maybe even change my mind about how I felt in that situation. I might have felt I was right in that situation, or I don't know, like I might have felt something, and then later, coming back to that same situation, like overlooking it, I might actually see that I experienced a feeling that was not based on the truth, right? So I can come back, I can look at the things in a different way, and then base my decision making not on how I feel about my emotions, but I can now base it on what do I want in life, right? And if I really want that in life, am I okay to live with this emotion and suck it up, you know? And like, or say like, okay, I that was shitty, that was really bad, and I hated this moment in my life, but you know what? I'm not gonna give up because it's still worth it, because I still want to go forward, and I still know in my heart this is the way to go, and even if I failed in this area, I'm not gonna let this stop me. In a way, I use that to become better. Like I analyze myself, I see why did I react like that? Why did I do that? Why did it happen that way? Like we look at all different, I look at all different kind of angles, and I'm like, oh, I learned something new about myself, right? Like it's something that I didn't know. And that's a moment of growth, right? It's like, I'm also like that. Or, oh, I react like this because of, I didn't know that about myself. So now knowing that, even if the same situation would come again, it might only be half as bad because I have learned more about myself, so I might face the situation differently. And I guess that's failing forward is you just learn from the mistake. You don't take the mistake as a signal to stop and to withdraw.
I feel that it's also important for all us to clarify to our audience that we're not glorifying failure here.
Yeah.
Right? I think as much as we embrace failure to fail forward, I think it's important to know that nobody plans to start something or embark on an endeavor and plan to fail.
Yeah.
Like I think nobody should ever have that mindset, that because that can actually be quite dangerous. That can be actually used as a crutch for not actually setting the right benchmarks. But I think it is very important to actually plan or strategize to the best possibly that you can do in order for whatever that you're doing will achieve success. Because it is impossible when someone is like, oh, let's just wing it. I have never seen any real success stories where you go into a situation and you're just winging it. Because that just leaves room for absolute failure to actually happen. Because
probably that's just a beginner's luck.
Yeah, a beginner's luck, right? like there's no preparation. But what I like about what was shared is, failure is such a great teacher, and what it teaches us from those failures are things that we can actually learn from. And as Viola, you were just saying, it helps me grow. And therefore, I feel that once we actually embark on a new endeavor, when we're armed with the knowledge and we've actually accepted those failures and take them as it is, as lessons or as that great teacher, the next time when we embark on something, we are just so much more well prepared because we know, you know what, I suck at this. I terribly suck at this. And so therefore, I don't want to repeat it.
Yes.
And then it becomes so much easier for you to analyze the situation of what I need or what I do not need, because I know what my weaknesses are now. So I think like when you actually do your next version of your attempt at anything, you'd be able to first strategize better. You're able to actually choose better opportunities for yourself. You're more intentional because, you know, to become successful, you need to actually have goals. You know, you cannot just like, it's not spaghetti principle, right? It's like I throw at everything and see which one sticks, and then that's what I'm gonna go at. That's beginners. That's great. But once you have lessons from failures, you start to know, like, you know what, this is not for me because I absolutely suck at it, right? Why I shouldn't go there because it's gonna cost me and someone else something. You plan better. You have a better understanding of how to channel all forms of resources that you have, be it like knowledge, talent, finance. You know how to distribute that better because you've made mistakes before. You will not repeat them again, right? I think like with those lessons that we take from failure, our next version, the next attempt, I'm not saying that might be the success version, but it definitely will be a much better attempt than the first time round.
True.
But if we quit at that first version of what we actually attempted, we will never see the next better version of myself or of my efforts or my talents. And like, you know, just like, I think an even easier illustration to make this really relatable is when I was thinking about this topic, I thought about Apple.
Yeah.
It is now one of the most powerful and most successful company in the world. And one of their initial big success came from the iPhone.
Yeah.
And nobody until today is ever gonna look at the original iPhone OS as a failure, right? And as of today, we currently, the OS that is on our phone is version 14.5. So what I loved about it, it's not version 15. It's version 14.5 that was released to the public. So it probably in between, inside internally in Apple, there was probably 5 times revision improvements. So it's my version 14 with 5 improvements, my 0.5, but better. And what it showed me for a company at such a big mammoth size, they have no shame, no qualms. They're okay with little increments of improvements. And I think that's really life. That's really about like, that's what failure does for us, right? It's like, hey, you know, I thought 14 was great, but after, you know, there's actually a bug. We got to fix that. You know, someone complained. But do you internalize that as failure? I think if Apple did, today none of us would be able to, you know, enjoy all that chic phone, you know, such user-friendly, you know, interface for the world to use. And I just think that we should really look at failures as just lessons and great information for us to move forward to the next step. Right?
Yeah, it's true because when you said that, it reflected back into my leadership in a way. When you lead a team or when you lead an organization, that you will receive feedbacks all the time. And if you take every feedback as a failure in your lives, I can never imagine how the company is going to collapse because you just stop doing the next things, you know, for the better of the company, right? And even for myself, if I take every feedback that was given to me as a failure of myself, which I used to do that when I just started working, when I took every feedback like, oh my God, I'm such a failure. But when I start to learn how to receive feedback, and you mentioned sometimes you need to internalize, sometimes you just have to own your mistake, or you realize that it's not my mistake, then it's an improvement, right?
Yes.
Regina's version 14.5 or 14.7 is going to be, or 15 in the future. But yeah, it's how we look at the overall failure as a teacher, as a great lessons, and not as something that brings us down. I think that is very important. And so, ladies, what will be, if you can give one advice for people to take action in accepting or overcoming failure, what would it be?
I think